a caretaker conceives the child of the wealthy man she's caring for, forcing both their families to deal with the situation. Wanda arrives at a bus station where Greggy fetches her. He takes her to his family's villa where his mother, Elsa, welcomes her back. Back at work, Wanda opens the curtains inside the room of Elsa's husband, Joseph. She helps the stroke patient rise from his bed while he complains how the last caretaker treated him like a baby. As she puts away the man's breakfast plate, she passes by Greggy, who shows her a new taxidermy owl. Later, Elsa gives Wanda an audio monitor connected to Joseph's room, then requests her to help with household chores and for her patient's birthday party. This wasn't part of their agreement, so she haggles for a salary increase for the extra tasks. That evening, Wanda gets settled in her room. Before long, she hears Greggy doing bird calls outside, and she smiles, finding this amusing. The next day, Wanda starts her duties, attending to all of Joseph's needs. She even takes him outside for some fresh air. There, she watches videos of her children to remind herself who she is doing this for. Even at night, Joseph calls her name while she sleeps, prompting the woman to get up. When she reaches his room, he hands her a wad of cash. Without uttering a word, Wanda locks the door and attends to Joseph's more carnal needs. The next day, Elsa checks in on her husband and notices Wanda swimming in the lake through the window. Joseph comments how Elsa used to look that good, and his wife takes it as a compliment. Wanda soon goes to Elsa's room to collect the laundry and sees the woman trying out a dress. The caretaker compliments her outfits and encourages her to wear them more often. However, Elsa admits that her time for vanity has passed, so she wants Wanda to take one of her clothes instead as a present. After some hesitation, Wanda picks a dress for Joseph's upcoming birthday. However, Elsa reveals that she never told the guests that she works for them, so she asks her to stay in the kitchen during the party. Later, Greggy reads birthday letters to his father while Wanda massages her patient. Hearing that even the mayor sent him his wishes, she later comments how popular Joseph is. He thinks it's just because he knows how to keep people happy. Just then, the man's daughter Sophie arrives with her husband Manfred, bringing in a pedal exerciser as Joseph's gift. While Sophie encourages her father in exercising, Manfred receives a call before announcing that he has to leave. This has Sophie complaining that he'll be gone for hours. Meanwhile, Joseph gets dizzy, so Sophie attempts to help her father out. Joseph, however, calls out to Wanda, so the caretaker takes him to his bedroom. Once he's on the bed, he holds Wanda's hand as Sophie and Manfred bicker outside. The patient asks his caretaker not to leave him with those two, but Wanda reminds him that they're only trying to care for him since they love him. During the afternoon, Elsa asks her daughter if Manfred left because they quarreled. Sophie stresses that he left to meet a client. They then notice Greggy teasing Wanda while the caretaker puts away the laundry outside. Elsa thinks her son is falling for Wanda, which she's okay with since the woman is young and pretty and her husband likes her. In contrast, Sophie thinks Wanda's just baiting her brother. Just then, Joseph calls Wanda for supper, but Sophie attends to him instead. She desperately tries to feed her father, but the man keeps asking for Wanda, even throwing his fork away in retaliation. Meanwhile, Wanda cleans Sophie's room when she notices her laptop on. She uses this opportunity to call her kids, promising them that she'll be back in a few months. Their reunion is cut short when Wanda's father, Powell, takes over. Just then, Sophie walks in, so Wanda apologizes for using her laptop and explains that she just wanted to talk to her children. However, Sophie merely kicks her bucket of water on her way out, forcing Wanda to clean it up. That evening, the party starts, though Elsa announces that Joseph had a dizzy spell and is already asleep. Hearing this, the guests praise her for looking after him while Sophie struggles to get a hold of her husband. Elsa then reads a speech that Joseph wrote, declaring that Greggy will be the new director of their company. Upstairs, however, Joseph is wide awake and listening to his birthday party from his dark bedroom. At the table, however, a frazzled Greggy abruptly leaves while his sister goes after him. Embarrassed, Elsa diverts everyone's attention to the buffet. In the kitchen, Wanda notices Greggy pass by with a wine bottle while Sophie calls him out for letting their mother down right after Joseph refused to go to his own party. Greggy argued that their father had a dizzy spell, but Sophie knows he just didn't feel like attending. Wanda tries to weave between the two as they argue about Greggy wasting the opportunities their parents gave them. Greggy insists on letting his sister take over the company instead, but Sophie reveals that she got a huge job offer in New York. She declares that she's doing something for herself, but her brother points out that despite her effort, even her husband doesn't care about her. Tired of his family's needs and getting involved involved in their drama, Wanda drinks the leftover wine after the party. She then hears Greggy's bird calls and decides to join him. They row a boat out the lake, with the man sharing that he does this every spring morning to listen to the birds and practice his calls to them. The two then gaze at each other's eyes, but Wanda breaks this to praise his talent. Seemingly disheartened, he declines the compliment since the birds aren't singing now. The next morning, Wanda counts the money Joseph gave her when Sophie barges in because her father has been calling the woman. Wanda hides the money but drops a bill on the floor, prompting Sophie to accuse her of stealing before confiscating her passport. The woman then reports this to her mother, who checks if they have any missing money. Having heard the commotion, Greggy arrives and asks Wanda where the money came from. Cornered, Wanda admits that Joseph gave her the money. With that, the family interrogates Joseph. To avoid their secret getting exposed, Wanda discreetly makes horn gestures, cluing Joseph to lie that he lent the money to buy a milk cow for her parents' farm. He insists that it's an investment, so Elsa orders Sophie to apologize. With much disdain, the woman apologizes to Wanda and returns the money. After his family leaves, Joseph chuckles. Wanda, however, can't handle the family drama anymore and decides to leave for good. Joseph tries to bribe her to stay, but the woman storms off. Despite this, however, Wanda ends up returning weeks later. Elsa drives her back to the villa, but the caretaker suddenly feels nauseous and hurls on the side of the road. Elsa dismisses this as car sickness from her long bus ride. With the caretaker back in their home, Elsa soon notices how Greggy is happy while watching Wanda care for his father. Just then, Joseph suddenly stands up from his wheelchair. Overjoyed, Elsa rushes to her husband thinking he's recovering. However, Joseph declares that he's going to be a father while Wanda bolts into the house. Realizing what this means, Elsa pushes Joseph into the lake and goes to her room to cry. Meanwhile, Greggy carries Joseph back to his room only for the man to defend that he never forced Wanda. This shocks his son, yet his father just orders him to get Wanda. Upon learning of this event, Sophie tries to talk to her mother, but Elsa's locked them out. She assures her that Wanda is just a gold digger who's trying to frame Joseph, who's probably sterile by now. This convinces Elsa to open the door, though she reveals to Sophie that she was the one with health problems, leading to them unable to conceive after Greggy. She only blamed Joseph because she was ashamed. Troubled, Sophie then calls Manfred to report what happened. The man laughs at how ridiculous it is, but his wife coldly just orders him to get there. During this, Wanda watches a video where a cow was delivered to them despite them not ordering for one. Greggy soon confronts her, though he struggles to begin the conversation. Instead, Wanda breaks the tension and shows him a painting her kid made of the cow. Greggy laments that he bought her the cow when he heard that his father lent her money for it, thinking that she could have kept the extra cash for herself. Wanda then cuts to the chase, saying that she serviced Joseph for money to help her children. The man suddenly kneels before her and professes his love for her despite her actions. Unable to return his feeling, the caretaker just thanks him for the cow, then turns away. Upstairs, Sophie tells Joseph to talk to his wife, but the man insists that he'll accept the child because it's his, just like Sophie is. Frustrated, his daughter heads out to clear her head. Meanwhile, Wanda thinks about her condition and ultimately writes a letter for Elsa, which she slips under her door the next morning. The family gathers to read its contents later, learning that Wanda assumed that Joseph was sterile. Since she's now pregnant, she apologizes but asks for money to raise the child. This convinces Sophie that the caretaker only wants money, but Manfred, being a lawyer, states that a third heir will cut the inheritance. He advises them to have Wanda get rid of her condition and pay her off. Elsa disapproves of their focus on money, insisting that they have to uphold their family reputation. However, Sophie comments that Wanda's family must be liars and cheaters like them. The mother slaps her for this and leaves. Despite this, Manfred continues the discussion, insisting that they first have to prove that she's pregnant. The next morning, Wanda takes the test with Sophie in the bathroom, which comes out positive. Meanwhile, Manfred tries to convince Joseph to take a paternity test, but the aged man resists, yelling that he'd rather divorce his wife and marry Wanda than to lose the child. To their horror, Elsa overhears this. The scorned and hurt wife then storms out. Greggy soon finds the woman destroying his boat, so he pulls her back. Seeing her turmoil, he offers to be the scapegoat and pretend to be the father of Wanda's baby. However, Elsa refuses, admitting that she knew Wanda was pregnant on the drive home and even entertained becoming a grandmother or even a mother if she adopted it. Ultimately, she believes only money will make it go away. Downstairs, Wanda calls her mother Irina, who knows about her situation. She urges her daughter to confess to her father about it, so she passes the phone to Powell, who's doing groceries with her kids. Despite them being busy, Wanda drops that she's pregnant again. Powell takes this news well, but Wanda's son worries that she'll be leaving them for her new family. Tearfully, his mother promises that she won't. With the pregnancy also in her mind, Sophie wonders about taking Wanda's child instead so they can finally be a family. Manfred asserts that they've agreed that they're still busy with their careers to consider kids, but this just frustrates his wife. Meanwhile, Joseph finally goes to his mourning wife, begging for forgiveness. He admits that it was his fault and worries that by the time the child meets him, he'd be gone. She retorts that the issue is he never loved her. He reasons that he is the mother of his children, but the woman finds no value in it and decides to divorce him. Elsa then storms out and finds her daughter drunk dancing downstairs. In her stupor, Sophie reveals that she is also sterile and is planning to get a divorce. Having this sad connection with her daughter, Elsa says she'll do the same. Outside, Manfred listens to the women before leaving. Upstairs, Greggy goes to his mother's room and finds her under the blanket. He tries to convince her that money can't buy everything, even admitting that he's not cut out to be a director and needs to do what he wants just like his egotistical father. To his surprise, it was Joseph under the sheets. He chuckles at his son's confession and advises him to just whistle to the birds since he's not cut out for this life. As the night goes on, Elsa and Sophie dance their woes away while Manfred and Greggy unleash their frustration in the snow. This doesn't satisfy Greggy, however, so he also throws his tools out the window along with his taxidermy collection. During all these, Wanda packs up her things, having decided on leaving. In the morning, Joseph sees Manfred lying outside in the snow surrounded by Greggy's thrashed collection, while Elsa and Sophie are asleep on the couch. Passing by them, Greggy heads to the kitchen and spots a note from Wanda, asking them to forget everything. He then checks her room, confirming that she's gone. The women worry, but Manfred announces that he has an idea that could benefit everyone. Months later, Sophie happily welcomes Wanda back at the bus station. Upon arriving in the house, Sophie tells her that Manfred's finalizing the arrangement and tells her to take Greggy's room since he already left. His room's been turned into a nursery while Greggy moved near their family's firm. Meanwhile, Sophie seems excited about the baby, even suggesting names for it. Later, Wanda meets Joseph outside where he affirms that he'll acknowledge and care for their child. Elsa then approaches them and invites Wanda inside. In the dining room, Manfred gives her half her payment along with paperwork declaring Manfred as the father, and that the inheritance will be given to the parents. This means that Manfred and Sophie will adopt the child and Wanda will be deemed as a surrogate. As Wanda signs the papers, Sophie and Manfred hold her hand, excited that they'll finally have a child. Later, everyone but Joseph enjoys a meal until Wanda suddenly spots a cow outside. She runs to find that her parents and kids have arrived, and Powell berates Manfred for buying his grandchild. Before things escalate, Elsa calmly invites them inside to talk. At the dinner table, Powell refuses to have his grandchild adopted, but Manfred and Sophie argue that they already have an agreement with Wanda, promising to care for the child. Joseph then intervenes, declaring that the child is his, which leaves Powell flabbergasted. Still, he insists that the child belongs to their family. With that, he decides not to leave as long as his grandchild's there. That evening, Irina scolds her husband to give up his pride since the exchange benefits them all. Powell argues that getting the inheritance is better, but Irina reminds him that the payment is far more than he ever earned. With that, the man sighs in defeat. Meanwhile, Joseph calls Wanda, but the woman is asleep with her kids. Instead, Elsa comes in and tends to her husband. This allows the couple to reconcile and rekindle their relationship. Later, the aged man heads out to milk the cow. As he carries the milk back, the wind blows and he turns to find his family and Wanda's all waving happily at him. Joseph smiles back at them before collapsing. This somehow wakes Wanda. She peeks outside to find Elsa running to Joseph as her husband has passed away. That morning, Greggy returns to pay his respects. He stares at his father as he lays on his bed peacefully. He then heads outside to greet Wanda, who gives her condolences. The two take a moment to think about how differently their lives had become, with Greggy stepping up for his father's company despite not wanting it. Their moments interrupted when Powell and Manfred come running to guide the cow into a truck to take it to a farm. As they all corral the bovine, Wanda suddenly goes into labor. Greggy calls an ambulance while Irina and Sophie help Wanda in the nursery. However, Irina realizes that the baby is coming, so Wanda has to give birth there. They put her into position and Greggy whistles to calm her for the final push. Meanwhile, Elsa listens to the new life being born while watching her husband dead on his bed. Later, Sophie delights in the presence of her adopted daughter, Henriette. Wanda arrives to hand in her milk, prompting Sophie to cuddle with the infant as she feeds her. After a while, Irina serves lunch for the family who are now getting along. Greggy then offers a toast for Joseph, but Manfred adds a toast to Henriette's health. Hearing this, Powell checks in on Wanda, wondering if she's really giving up her daughter to help them. She explains that none of them have a decent job and this money will be for her sons and Henriette will grow up healthy. With that, her father finally drops the issue. Not long after, Elsa's family prepares the boat to spread Joseph's ashes to the lake. However, Henriette keeps crying despite Sophie trying to comfort her. Worried, Wanda takes the infant and Sophie watches the baby calm down in her arms. Relishing her daughter's presence, Wanda suddenly walks out of the villa. Sophie and Manfred chase after her and demand for their child, but Wanda quietly refuses and runs off. Eventually, Wanda gets cornered, and Sophie accuses her of tricking her other kids' fathers like this. Manfred reasons that Wanda is only being hormonal while Powell and Irina tried to convince their daughter to return the child. However, the woman refuses to do this. She realizes that all the choices she made were for their family, but now she wants to decide for herself. With that, she renames the baby as Anna. Hearing this upsets Sophie, but Elsa tells her this may be for the best. Still, Sophie orders Manfred to do something, but even her husband has given up. The rest soon see the boat with Joseph's ashes sinking, and they run to it, leaving Wanda and Sophie. The woman glares at Wanda but leaves her to help her family. With the boat far into the lake, the scorned Sophie suddenly dives in and swims to the boat to scatter her father's ashes, finally deciding to do what needs to be done on her own. She swims back and ignores everyone as she stiffly walks away. Still, Manfred chases and wraps a towel around his drenched wife, allowing her to break down. The next day, everyone prepares to leave. Manfred wishes Wanda's family well as he drives off with Sophie. While Wanda helps her parents prepare the car, Elsa goes inside the house feeling alone. She hears Wanda's sons play with her husband's urn while Anna cries from upstairs. She goes to the infant and carries her, and this calms her down. Wanda soon takes the child and says her goodbyes. The house grows quiet as Wanda takes her sons away. Immediately, the loneliness creeps on Elsa, so she runs down to Wanda, asking her to stay because she doesn't want to be alone. Since Anna is still Joseph's child, she'll still be with family. Finally, the troublesome family admits their weaknesses and faults, allowing them to heal old wounds and move on.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.